held on Wednesday, the 13th of December, 2017, at 7:30 p.m. in the municipal complex. Pursuant to Section 13 of the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of the time and place of this regular meeting has been given by prominently displaying the schedule of regular meetings on the official notice board in the municipal complex, and by transmitting a copy of this schedule to the Princeton Packet, Town Topics, the Trenton Times, the Trentonian, and to Comcast Cable of New Jersey Incorporated. A copy was also filed with the clerk of Princeton. Could you call the roll for us, please, Claudia?
Mr. Cohen?
Present.
Ms. Coulson?
Present.
Mr. Davidge?
Present.
Mr. Floyd?
Present.
Mr. Oakman?
Present.
Mr. Shriver?
Here.
Ms. Suri? Mr. Tenenbaum? Chairman Royce?
Here.
Thank you.
We have a couple of administrative things to do before we get to hearing cases, but we'll do those as rapidly as we can. We have as the first administrative matter a series of resolutions talking about where we're posting this mysterious notice. I don't know where the municipal notice board is, so I am concerned about that. We have a schedule for the 2018 regular meetings and various other charges and so on for getting copies of things that nobody ever gets copies of. And finally, an important issue, which is appointment of a special counsel. So I think we can divide it. We'll separate out the appointment of the special counsel, in part due to its importance, and look at the first three things on the agenda there. I have requested this evening that, for the purposes of this document, we point out that not only is the schedule of the meeting or the agenda of the meeting put on the notice board here, but that it is available on the zoning board's web page. And I think more people are likely to be able to find that than know whether they should go upstairs or into the basement to find the other notice board. So I have suggested that change be made in the text to bring that out. Are there any comments on that change? Is that a satisfactory thing to try and do? Okay. The schedule of regular meetings are essentially the same as they are this year, taking into account any changes of holiday dates and things of that sort. And I think there may be special meetings interleaved with some of these if the caseload becomes fairly good. But I think this is essentially the same as we've been living with this year. And then we have providing special meetings and the fixed charges, a charge of $12 for getting all of the schedules and $1 for each one. I doubt whether anyone ever does that, but it's been there for a long time. So are there any comments or changes on any of those motions? If not, I'd like a motion to accept them as presented or modified, and a seconder to that motion.
I'll make a motion to accept them.
We have a motion to accept
Second.
and a seconder. Which of you wants to be the second? Give way to him. Can you call the roll then, please, Claudia?
Mr. Cohen?
Yes.
Ms. Coulson?
Yes.
Mr. Davidge?
Yes.
Mr. Floyd?
Yes.
Mr. Oakman?
Yes.
Mr. Shriver?
Yes.
Chairman Royce?
Yes.
Thank you.
Now, the second one is the appointment of a special counsel. F. Clifford Gibbons. I think the state of New Jersey has the need for the services, it says of an, but I think it should be of a, no, a special counselor. And Clifford Gibbons, attorney at law, is hereby appointed, and that will run from January the 1st, 2018 to December the 31st, so for all of the coming year. I think this is a fairly straightforward thing. Do you have any comments that we need to hear?
I believe the staff prepared this in the event there was any application in the future for next year that I might have a conflict with. There would be someone in place to appear on behalf of the board.
Yeah.
So I think that's why the staff went ahead and got it prepared for this agenda.
So, the motion to accept?
I move to accept.
The seconder for the motion?
Second.
The seconder. Could you call the roll for us then, Claudia?
Mr. Cohen?
Yes.
Ms. Coulson?
Yes.
Mr. Davich?
Yes.
Mr. Floyd?
Yes.
Mr. Oakman?
Yes.
Mr. Shriver?
Yes.
Chairman Royce?
Yes.
Thank you.
So now we come to the applications for this evening, and the first one is 30 Southern Way, and it carries the case number Z1717-538. Are people here to present that? Why don't you come forward and sit in the seats here? There are 2 seats and 2 microphones, and I'll get Mr. Bridger to read his memorandum into the record at the beginning of the case, and then I'll give you the opportunity to make your
Mr. Bridger, before you swear you in, I'll note for the record that the noticing is in order and the board has jurisdiction, and we'll swear you in for the evening. Do you swear or affirm your testimony this evening will be truthful?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We do have authority to hear this. All of the other paperwork is in order. Good.
Excuse me. Good evening. The applicant, the owner Francis Parker and the applicant Ronald Levine are seeking a C2 variance to permit the replacement of an existing air conditioner and exception to the required setback. There is no record of prior approval. Property is located in the R5 zone and is subject to the use and bulk regulations in accordance with Sections 10B, 253, 255, and 246 of the former Princeton Township Land Use Ordinance. The existing single-family use is permitted as of right. The subject lot is non-complying with respect to lot area. The requirement is 21,780 square feet, and the existing is 7,840 square feet. It's non-complying with respect to lot frontage and lot width. The frontage requirement is 100 feet, the existing is 60, and the lot width requirement is 100 as well, and the existing is 57. And the subject property is non-complying with respect to the required front yard setback. The requirement's 25, the existing 16.3 feet, and the left side setback, the requirement's 15, the existing is 8.6, and the right side setback requirement is 15, and the existing is 5.6. The applicants are seeking a C2 variance relief to replace an existing air conditioner. As I stated earlier, there's no record of prior approval. The required setback is 15, and the proposed setback is 1 foot. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to address them.
Do we have any questions for Mr. Bridger? And it's only because this case is still dealt with by the township book that we need these people to come and present the issue to us. Otherwise, you could have dealt with it administratively had it been in the borough. Is that
The
correct?
borough setback is 5 feet for an air conditioner, so, but that's the code there,
Yeah.
so.
Okay. So, please.
Mr.
You need
Levine,
to be
Ms.
sworn in,
Parker
I guess.
will swear you in case both of you testify. So if you'd raise your right hand, do you swear or affirm your testimony this evening will be truthful?
Yes.
Thank you.
We purchased our home in 2005. There was an air conditioner on the side of the house. It's now broken. We'd like to replace it. Anything else?
And the air conditioner was there when you purchased the house?
Yes.
Is that right? And, okay. Do we have any questions? The C2 sounds appropriate, given the size of the lot. Is anyone in the audience here to address this case? All right, so let us have a motion then, and a seconder to the motion.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Is there a seconder to that motion?
Second.
We have a seconder to the motion. I guess we ought to make an addition to it, saying that this variance should be filed safely in the municipal complex, so that the next time somebody buys the house, we won't hear it again.
Okay.
Can you call the roll, Claudia?
Yes, sir. Mr. Cohen?
Yes.
Ms. Coulson?
Yes.
Mr. Davich?
Yes.
Mr. Floyd?
Yes.
Mr. Oakman?
Yes.
Mr. Shriver?
Yes.
Chairman Royce?
Yes.
Thank you, it's approved.
Thank
Okay.
you.
It was your presentation that did it.
We like succinct presentations. Okay, the next
Hope you came in the
case
same car.
is 88 Valley Road and carries the case number Z1717-503. As before, I'll get Mr. Bridger to read the essence of his memorandum into the record and then get you to make your case.
Thank you. Kirsten Thoff, Ted Nadeau are the owner and applicants seeking C1 and C2 variance relief to permit construction of a new single-family home at 88 Valley Road, an exception to the required lot frontage, lot width, and the prevailing front yard setback. Subject properties in the R6 zone, subject to the use and bulk regulations in sections 10B 253, 255, and 246. The existing single-family use is permitted as of right. The subject lot is non-complying. The requirements with lot width, the requirement's 85 feet. The existing is 75, and the frontage requirement is 85, and the existing is 75. The existing single-family will be demolished, and a new structure will be built on that site. Applicant should advise the board as to whether they have contacted any adjoining landowners inquiring if they wish to buy the subject lot or sell a portion of their lot to create a complying lot. The applicant's new single-family dwelling will comply with all the applicable bulk regulations. The new single-family dwelling requires the following variances. Lot width, the requirement's 85, the existing is 75. Lot frontage, requirement again is 85, the existing will be 75. And the prevailing front yard setback is 52, and the proposal is 39 feet and 11 and a half inches. And they've requested both consideration under the C1 as well as the C2. I'd be glad to answer any questions if you have any. Thank you.
Do we have any questions for Mr. Bridger? No. Okay. Your pictures are appearing on our screens, so
Now we're on here. Thank you, Chairman Royce. And I'm glad very much that the pictures are showing up. I got to speak with your tech person earlier. I was very impressed with everything in that back room. It was pretty neat what you guys have here, and glad it made it on the screen. Name is Ryan Kennedy. I'm an attorney at Stevens & Lee. As Mr. Bridger said tonight, we are here for an application at 88 Valley Road. I'll have one witness. It's the owner, applicant, and architect. I know she has appeared before you before, but perhaps if we could swear her in, or both of us, if you'd like me to swear in as well.
Sure. If you'd raise your right hand, do you swear and affirm any testimony you give this evening will be truthful?
Yes.
Thank you.
I do as well. Kirsten Thoft has appeared before this board before. She is a licensed architect. If I could ask her very briefly to go through her credentials.
do you want that for the record? Or?
Well, I don't know if we actually technically need her as an expert tonight, but I'll just ask her to give her a very brief, 30-second version of her
Fine.
of her credentials and
Oh,
background.
I'll make it 15 seconds. I have an undergraduate degree from the University of Pennsylvania in design and a master's degree in architecture, also from University of Pennsylvania. I'm licensed in the state of New Jersey and
Could you
in the
talk
state of
into the
Pennsylvania.
microphone?
Oh, sorry. Licensed
Turn
in
it
New
on.
Jersey and Pennsylvania.
Great, thank you. Tonight, behind you and in front of you, we have a PowerPoint slide. I'll ask, it's, I believe, an 8-page deck. We'll be very quick with it, and I'd ask if we could have the
Just call that
entire
A1,
piece
no?
marked as our only exhibit this evening.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. As Mr. Bridger said, tonight we're asking for essentially 3 variances. 2 of them are directly related. This is a neighborhood where the lots predominantly, and all the neighboring lots, are 75 feet in width, whereas the zoning in the R6 former portion of the township requires 85 feet. This is an existing issue that the entire neighborhood faces. The second, so that is a variance both for the lot width and for lot frontage. The other variance is for setback, as you'll hear and see in a minute. The way that the prevailing frontage is calculated now results in something that is quite a bit different from the rest of the houses in this row would appear. And as you'll see from the testimony and the pictures, perhaps a better solution that is more in keeping with the intention of the zoning generally would be to do as the applicant is requesting with the variance. So with that, I'll turn it over and we'll start with our first slide that, and not to take away her thunder, but we certainly have taken to heart what the board has asked, and while we did comply with the MLUL's notice provisions, we also, this applicant has gone above and beyond and done a very specific and detailed informative letter to the neighbors and spoken, with everyone. So with that, I'll
Okay. So apologies for my croaky voice, getting over a cold. So we wrote the, I'm trying to think, it's on your left. We wrote the note on your left and hand-delivered that to a number of the neighbors surrounding the property a couple weekends ago. And we actually already know a lot of these people because, as you may remember, we are building a house on 82 Valley next to this. And so we went through this whole round last year with all of them, met them, gave them a notice, described the project. So we know these people by now. We've become friendly with some of them. I'm starting to give architectural advice to them, and nobody seemed to have any questions or concerns. Mostly people seemed pleased with what was already going up at 82 Valley, which is a house that's similar, but not the same as the one that we'd like to build at 88 Valley. So the pink dots show the people we actually spoke to, and the blue were notices that we've delivered, and we have not heard anything from anybody other than our conversations with people. This is, as Ryan already said, R6 district, which has a lot of variety in terms of the lot sizes, and ours happens to be undersized in terms of lot width and lot frontage, though compliant in terms of its area. And the one that we are talking about is the one in from the corner on Jefferson. It's, you can see it outlined in red there. It's in a row of 6 lots, which are all 75 feet wide. I'm friends with a woman who's on the right of this house and have actually done work for her. And you can see that her garage is very close to the lot line, so she does not have any interest in reducing the size of her lot, nor do the people to the left, which would be me. I don't want to reduce the size of that lot. Obviously, it makes any lot non-conform, even more non-conforming if you try to take a piece from the lot neighboring it. So we did have that conversation. And this is a blow-up of the first 4 lots on Valley Road, and you can see that they're all 75 feet wide. So this slide relates to the prevailing setback. I debated for quite a while whether or not to ask for the prevailing setback variance. I can set the house further back on the lot if need be. It's seemed to me, though, that it should be in line with the other houses and with the house that it's going to be replacing. So the red line there indicates the prevailing front yard setback for the lot, which is calculated by looking at houses 500 feet in either direction in the same block on the same side, and then throwing out the two most variant furthest back closest in, and then taking the average. And these 5 houses all sit about 39 to 45 feet back, and it's actually probably closer than 45 once you include steps, which we do have to count now. The houses further down the block are all set significantly farther back. They're all 60 feet back, and there's a row of another 7 of them or so. And they're the thing that's skewing the prevailing setback backwards. So what I would like to do is just put the house where the existing house is, and that would be a variance in the prevailing front yard setback. But it would be consistent with the other houses on either side of it.
And just as a follow-up question there, the existing house that you're looking to replace
Yep.
respects that setback and is lined up with the?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it is. This is the site plan. It shows the setbacks within the lot. Actually, that's an old, 25-foot is the setback before, if there were no prevailing front yard setbacks, so my apologies. But the house is planned to respect all the other zoning ordinance requirements. So it's going to conform in terms of front and, rear side setback, FAR, lot coverage, impervious coverage, et cetera. So the only things we're asking for is the prevailing front yard setback and that we can build on the lot.
Just one or two follow-up questions. I think you already covered this, but because, is it my understanding correct or my recollection correct that the neighbors on both sides also have the 75 feet of frontage problem that your lot does?
Yes, yes.
So it would not have been possible to purchase from them any property without making them even further
That's right.
non-conforming?
Yep.
All right. As far as direct testimony, that is,
I believe
that is
that
it.
is it.
I'd like to reserve, if possible, just a summation if there's comments from the public to address them, but other than that, I think that is all we have planned for you tonight.
Do members of the board have any questions they wish to ask? Comment? No. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address this case? Seems not. So, we can go into executive session and decide what to do.
I just have a quick comment, which is I walk by this way all the time. It's near where I live, and I think that they're accurate in saying that the variance for the prevailing front yard setback would be appropriate here, because I think that the portion of the block further on where the houses are further set back is more problematic from the sort of community feel perspective. I mean, a lot of people park in the front yard there, and I just think that this is I think what they're suggesting is a more appropriate use for the site given the context.
Okay. Any other comments from anyone? If we don't have any comments, then we need to make a motion. I will add the Royce amendment, so on the end,
About the lighting?
exterior lighting is
Yes.
something that worries me a lot. So always the light source shielded,
Yes.
no spillage over the property lines.
Yes,
And I think that's particularly important when the lots are fairly small.
absolutely.
And of course, although it's nothing to do with the zoning board really, and the town engineer will keep you honest in that respect, but water from roof and so on,
Yes,
not draining into neighbors'
yep,
properties.
Yep.
So I would add that as one of the conditions at any rate.
okay, yep, used to that.
Are there any other things they want to? So a motion
I would make a motion to approve, given the conditions that you just mentioned.
Okay. Is there a seconder for that motion? Second.
As a hardship variance or as a C2?
I think it's a
Or
C1,
perhaps both.
no? Or not?
The setback, the prevailing setback, I don't think could be considered a hardship.
That's certain. I think that's, I would agree with your counsel that the setback is more appropriate for C2, whereas
Make it
the
a
other two
C2?
could be certainly C1 or C2.
Okay.
All right.
So
So which one did
So
we
sorry,
take?
you're saying each one is a
C2?
different one, or C2 covers
C2?
both, or, because
It
they've checked
can.
off C1 and C2.
It can cover
here.
all, or if you feel the width and the frontage or hardship situations, those could be C1s, and the prevailing front yard setback could be the C2, because I don't think the setback could really be considered a hardship situation. It's more a matter of better appearance or being more consistent with the immediately adjacent setbacks. But that's up to the board. You can go either way.
Okay. So can we call the roll then? Or do
Wait. So
Which one did we
so
take?
which,
We said a C2, no?
for all of them? For the lot width and the frontage?
Perhaps on behalf of
Well,
the
I don't-
applicant, it's certainly up to the board. I mean, I think if I could refine our application a bit, and I would suggest that we would think the C1 for the first two, for the width variances are pretty squarely a hardship. Those are existing. The lot is exceptionally narrow. And as your attorney pointed out, the C2 variance for the setback really does represent a better zoning alternative for the property that would benefit the community versus strict compliance that would put it back behind the other houses. So that I think the C2, we would request the C2 for the setback and the C1 for the other two variances.
Okay, so C1 and a C2 for the two separate complaints.
That works.
Sorry?
It works. That works. That's fine.
You're the person that's going to write
Okay.
the legal aspects of it. So Claudia?
Mr. Cohen,
Yes.
Ms. Colson,
Yes.
Mr. Davich,
Yes.
Mr. Floyd,
Yes.
Mr. Oakman,
Yes.
Mr. Shriver,
Yes.
Chairman Royce.
Yes.
Thank you, it's approved.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Have a
you.
good night.
Good. Oh, you took the computer out. I thought that we were going to have a blackout.
Does add a lot of light to the room, but that's okay.
So the last case of the evening is 52 Knoll Drive and carries the case number Z1717-551. As before, I will ask Mr. Bridger to do his thing, and I assume we have authority to accept this case.
That is correct.
Things are in order. Good. Mr. Bridger. you're
Yes, sir.
still
Thank
on
you.
your own.
Howard Zagorin is the owner, 52 Knoll Drive, seeking a C1 variance to permit construction of a new single-family house on a non-conforming lot. The lot does not meet the required lot area. Properties in the R5 zone, subject to the bulk and use regulations in sections 10B 253, 255, and 246 of the former Princeton Township Land Use Ordinance. The existing single-family use is permitted as of right. The lot area requirement's 21,780 square feet. The subject lot is 21,159. Mr. Zagorian is proposing to demolish the majority of the existing new structure and construct a newer, modern house. You should advise the board if he has contacted any adjoining landowners to inquire whether they wish to sell a portion of the lot or sell part of their lot to, or sell part of his lot to create a complying lot. The new house will comply with all the applicable bulk regulations, so it's a C1 variance for lot area. Requirements 21,780. The existing lot area is 21,159. And that's my memo. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Do we have any questions for Mr. Bridger?
Yes, Richard Schaussman, attorney. One witness, Mr. Zagorin, the owner applicant. Swear him in, Ms. Casey, please.
Mr. Zagorin, do you swear or affirm your testimony this evening will be truthful?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, as Mr. Bridger indicated, it's only a lot area variance. We're undersized. As he mentioned, the house will be built and comply with all the yard setbacks, height ratios, et cetera, et cetera. It's an existing condition, and we're short, by my mathematics, although I'm very bad in mathematics, that's why I became a lawyer, is only 621 square feet. So we say in the law, it's really a de minimis variance. But Mr. Zagorin lives next door at 62. This is his neighbor's house. And I asked him the following questions. How long have you been a builder in the area?
38 years.
All right. Describe the house you're going to build.
That's going to be a craftsman-style house, which will, I believe, fit into the neighborhood quite nicely.
So you're modernizing the house?
Yes.
When was the house built, to your knowledge?
And I think it was in the 50s,
Okay.
1950s.
Okay. Describe the basic floor plans of the house, bathrooms, bedrooms, et cetera.
In the existing house?
No, the one that you're going to
There'll
build.
be 3.5 bathrooms, 4 bedrooms, kitchen, family room, no living room. Everybody is giving up the living room. And I think it'll, be a nice house on Knoll Drive.
There's a
And how long
garage
have you-
associated with the house?
I'm sorry?
There will be a garage associated
Yes, there'll be a
with the house?
2-car front entry garage.
And how long have you been in the neighborhood?
19 years?
Okay, so you're familiar with the neighborhood.
Yes.
So when you say it fits in with the neighborhood, you obviously been there 19 years and you know the house is there.
That's correct.
Why don't you just briefly explain to the board the condition of the house as it presently exists?
When I bought the house, my original intention was to renovate it, but now, after being the owner of the house, or owning the house since May, I found that there are additional conditions which I didn't know about. There's mold in the house. The basement, the block foundation is crumbling. It's cinder block. And it's just very costly to renovate. In fact, I think it was becoming so costly that I exceeded the amount of money that we could use for construction. In other words, I was told, Mr. Bridger told me that because I'm investing so much money that I would have to apply for a variance because I was putting more money into the house than the value of the house. Something like that, is that correct?
So I basically destroying more than 50% of the house. That's the way I look at it. So, I mean, in fairness, it's a lot of area variance. So, unfortunately, but
Just briefly to conclude, the lots on the other side, you own one of the lots on the other side? Are they conforming?
Yes.
The-
What, my house?
Your house?
Yes.
But because there's a house, there's no way that you can then convey your land to this house to make it conforming, make up the 621. Am I
You're
right?
talking to each other rather than to us, and so I would hope you would talk into the microphone better than you're doing. It's turned on, I can see the green light glowing.
Oh, so if
but when
you,
you look away from the microphone, it doesn't hear you very well.
all right, well, I'll look towards you. If the 2 lots on either side have houses on them, correct?
Yes.
You must be
And
a
there-
lawyer. You take no notice of anything that's told you. You
What's
need
that?
to speak into the microphone so that we
The
can...
2
record
houses on either side of you the 2 lots on either side of you have houses on them, correct?
Yes.
And there's no way that the lots as they are on either side of you can make up the 621 square feet that you're short,
To my knowledge, that's correct.
okay? And in your knowledge of the neighborhood, are all the lots approximately the same size as this lot?
Yes, I believe so.
That's it.
Okay.
Mr. Zagorin, just a quick question. So the lot you own, you're saying because it's a conforming lot now, correct, in terms of lot area or in bulk?
Yeah,
Okay, so your testimony is you couldn't give any land from that because,
it'll be non-conforming.
okay, so that's the testimony.
Yeah,
That
right,
were you
right.
to convey any land from it, it would make it non-conforming?
will make his non-conforming.
I understand, but
It
that's.
might make up to
No, I
621 square
understand.
feet.
All right, but that's his testimony,
Yeah,
that if he
right,
were to
yeah.
take any land away from it, it would make his own lot, the 52
Non-conforming.
Knoll, non-conforming.
That's correct.
Okay? And the same thing with the lot on the other side.
That's correct.
All right.
Are you putting this on the footprint of the existing house?
Most of it will be, yes.
Yeah.
Most of it?
Yes.
If you take a look at the architectural plans, you can see on the right-hand corner, it shows you a line, okay, on where the existing foundation is and what he's constructing. Take a look at the first page, okay, on the upper right-hand corner. It gives you a nice pictorial representation.
So the square footage of the new house will be the same as the old house?
No, it'll be a little bit more. The original house is around 2,800 square feet. This house will be 32, but again, I'm not calculating FAR, I'm just counting livable space.
You're taking out the swimming pool?
Oh, yes. Bye-bye.
Good, thank you.
I'm sorry, is your current house lot 6 or lot 8? This application is for lot
I'm
7.
in I believe I'm in Lot 8, to the
Good.
right of the house from Knoll, on
Yeah, you're
Knoll
right.
Drive.
You'll be a-
I see. Yeah, I mean, this map's not very exact, but it does look like both lots on either side are somewhat larger than this one. I mean, if you only need 600 square feet, that would really make those non-conforming. They're exactly the right size, is that right?
Yes.
Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address this here? No.
I did speak to my neighbors,
What'd they say?
and everybody was, the neighbors that I spoke to across the street, and one, well, of course, I'm one of the neighbors. The neighbor to the left of the house everybody was fine with it. There's been a lot of construction on the street, a lot of renovations, so everybody seemed to be happy with replacing what's there with what I want to do. As you can see, I don't think anybody came to object.
So, what is your pleasure?
I would make a motion to approve it with the standard, our standard lighting and drainage consideration.
Okay. Is there a seconder to that motion?
I'll second that.
Do we need any discussion of the motion? If not, could you call the roll for us, please, Claudia?
Mr. Cohen?
Yes.
Ms. Coulson?
Yes.
Mr. Davich?
Yes?
Mr. Floyd?
Yes.
Mr. Oakman?
Yes.
Mr. Shriver?
Yes.
Chairman Royce?
Yes.
Thank you, it's approved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good.
And Mr. Bridger was very helpful, in guiding me through the process. Thank you.
So we traditionally transmit to the mayor and council a concept of what we've been doing this year, and we raise issues with them that we hope that they will take care of within the next 10 or 12 years. And you have such a document in front of you, which Mr. Bridger prepared for us. And most of it is just saying really what we did. There's a spreadsheet at the end that puts that in a different concept. And I basically think that somehow we need to urge the mayor and council to act on this real problem of us having to work from two different books, one for the township and one for the borough, which have got different interpretations of the same thing on some occasions. And the sooner we get that sorted out, the less onerous our task will be, and the least annoyance, I believe, it will be to members of the public who want to come before us. So do you think this memorandum adequately covers our hopes and our activities? It should go to the mayor and council this month, so, yeah.
Just a question, Derek. Yes. Is this just presented to them in written form, or do you do an oral presentation?
Written form.
Do you think a member of the zoning board presenting this to the mayor and council might get them to do a bit more? Or focus a bit more?
I think, as I spoke with Barry a little bit before the meeting, I think the merger of the ordinances is starting to gain some momentum, and hopefully it should be done next year. But I can arrange if the chair or vice chair or any representative would like to go there. It probably is advantageous to have a personal delivery.
I would recommend that. You know, some of these things haven't moved and takes up a bit of our time. That
I left some of the stuff that's been on several years list, the lot area variances. I left the Airbnb from last year. In the proportional floor area. I mean, I get your point. It's a good point.
So, can we just take yea or nay, or should we do a person-by-person vote?
I just had a quick
Sorry, you had a
question.
comment.
Sorry, on the recommendations, item B, 2B. I just found the first sentence a little confusing. I wasn't sure exactly what we're recommending. It says the ordinances in both the former township and borough permitting the use of proportional floor area ratio to permit proportionally larger homes related to their lot area should be reconsidered. So we want the council to reconsider allowing those ordinances to permit these uses. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think the sense of the board was that it leads to larger houses on smaller lots and leads to tear downs of those houses. That was the suggestion. It's been before council several times, and they haven't acted on it, so.
You know,
Yeah,
people come before us and complain in general about the size of a house that's being built. And I think we need to sort that out in some way.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, sorry. I was just saying that the way the sentence is written, it's confusing. I think the content is fine.
Okay.
I just.
We can clean the language up.
Yeah. Also, is this supposed to include the list of items that we heard in 2016 or 2017?
2017.
It's 17, you have it in front of you. It's highlighted in yellow, yeah,
17
that's
is
the
what
one,
we have
yes.
here. Okay, gotcha.
Wait a second. The sheet that's attached to there's another sheet that was sent out that has a 2017. The sheet that was attached was 2016, which was an oversight, but
So this is what we would be
That's the
attaching.
correct sheet.
Gotcha.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thanks.
So do we have a motion to accept this?
Why do we think these things just sit there? Is there something controversial, or is it just an onerous task?
I guess it's not, it hasn't reached the level of importance to council to act on it. I mean, the lot area variance, in my opinion, is a waste of our time and thousands of dollars for the applicants, because I don't think we've turned down one in the 5 years that I've been here. But for some reason, council hasn't wanted to take away that review. But, I mean, we're in the trenches, we see it. They spent a couple $1,000 to come build a house on a lot that's non-complying. I mean, it's tough to, as we've had this discussion for years, it's tough to legally turn down an application when the lot doesn't comply with lot area or lot depth or lot width. You know, and if you can't get more land to do it, then it's a hardship, and we've had a hard time, you know, turning those applications down, so.
Do we have any other comments? Let's do it in a simple voice vote. Those in favor say aye. 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 Those against? Those abstaining? So you have it with ayes, no abstentions, no nays, and we are adjourned. Have a good holiday.
Have a good holiday.
Whichever one you choose. I'm celebrating at least 3.